such a grief, and maybe this year's sadness coming home to me. I have found the perfect tree and cast it to the mounds. I've even made little gingerbread Santas. There's nothing left stop trying, there is no way trying. You better loosen your belt. Thinking of one by the fire, don't care of anything else. Each Christmas, some kind of love, my friend. I pray you will come. If you like to be here too. It's Christmas, outside snow's glistening. It's just you and me tonight. I'll spend all this Christmas with you. Such a charm that you're up in my arms. There's nobody at the door. You said I wish this will never be over. Darling, it's time for your present. Come over here. Now it's time to get out in the snow, lighting your life with you. Choirs will sing and the joy bells will ring. Nobody loves you as much as I do. It's a wonderful feeling from floor to the ceiling. It is that time of the year, drinking hot wine by the fire. We are only got nothing to fear. It's Christmas, and some kind of love, my friend. Pick up some candy canes and hang a wreath on your door. It's Christmas,
The 3-point as is.
outside snow's glistening.
Put all the digits after that.
It's just you and me tonight.
With. So they wrap
It's just you
every
and me
4 digits.
tonight.
Color those in. Put zeros for
It's
that.
just you and me tonight. I'll spend all this
There it
Christmas.
is. After 143,352 binary digits of pi, there's that Among Us.
Hey, Pops, does this thing work?
Sure does. I just oiled it.
Beautiful. Give it up, baby.
Christmas, the snow starts to fall. Then you know it's Christmas for the children above all. Then you know it's Christmas, 'cause Santa's on his way. We stand under the mistletoe, and it's Christmas Day. The times we witness forever stays with us. She never sees she's risen and gathers us fun. When Santa is missing, wraps the final gift. You know it's time for Christmas, so we can never starts to fall, and then you know it's Christmas for the children of us all. And then you know it's Christmas, 'cause Santa's on his way. We stand under the mistletoe, and it's Christmas.
sobriety, so let's take a look at three Nintendo's worst games of all time, which we now all believe within 2 months of each other. First one we should tackle is...
Among Us! Among Us! Among Us! Hey, Pops, does this thing work?
Sure does. I just oiled it.
You give it up, baby.
So I took pi, removed the 3 point, as is tradition when doing these sorts of things, took all the digits after that, converted it into binary, and then reduced the width so they wrap every 4 digits. Color those in, so zeros are the background, ones are the foreground. Start scrolling down. Sure enough, there it is. After 143,352 binary digits of pi, there's that Among Us.
wish the night before Christmas. I wish present for business. And my little Persian shop. When they burn the door, find it once more, and then time on the screen to start. But somehow I knew, and nation.